Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Day, and this is part 4 of the 5-part video series looking at cloud storage for your business. In this video series, we've covered a brief introduction about cloud storage. We've talked about protecting your data. We've talked about what business shared drives are all about. In this presentation, I'm going to be having a look at some of the different options you've got, for example, iCloud, Microsoft, Google, and Dropbox. And lastly, in the next presentation, I'll be giving you our recommendations based on what you're currently using, or if you're just getting started, what we recommend to use in your business. So in this presentation, we're going to be looking at the options. There are lots of options you can go for, so how do you know which one to pick? I'll be briefly touching on iCloud and other similar apps, Dropbox and the reasons why I don't think it's suitable for most people, and then looking at the options with either Microsoft or Google. So there are so many options you can go for. You've got on one side the personal and the basic business grade solution, so iCloud, OneDrive, Dropbox, Google Drive for G Suite, for example. And then you've got the real business grade solution, so your shared drives, that is Google shared drives, Microsoft SharePoint, and Dropbox for business. I've put an X through iCloud here, and that is covering iCloud and other similar apps. The reason I say that is because you can't transfer ownership of documents in iCloud and other apps, and that's an essential part of keeping your data secure. Similarly, actually, OneDrive, you can't transfer ownership of documents across, so I should probably put an X through that as well. I'm going to look at that in more detail along with Dropbox over the next coming slides, and then we'll focus on the Google solutions. So, Dropbox. Dropbox as a online cloud storage solution is brilliant. It's as good as any of the other business grade solutions out there. It is fairly pricey. It starts at 15 quid a month for the business version, and I think you have to have 3 licenses. So you end up paying £45 out just for your cloud storage. We'll look at in a moment using Microsoft or Google, where the cloud storage is bundled together with email and other services, and that's a much more cost-effective way. Also, you're going to have email in your business. So having a separate storage to your emails means you're dealing with 2 pieces of software. And I've said before, I like to keep my life simple. The fewer apps I use in my business, the better. And so therefore, Dropbox for me isn't really a viable solution. You also don't get any Office apps with Dropbox. So you're still going to have to pay for Microsoft or use Google as well to be able to actually create documents in your business. So again, it's about having a minimum number of apps, and therefore I don't recommend Dropbox. But, and this is the big but, if you're already using it, you're happy with it, your files are in there, you've shared stuff out already through Dropbox, then continue using it. You can always add in your Google solution and slowly move stuff over as and when you need to. But the key thing is, if you've got stuff in Dropbox or any cloud storage that you already share to other people using links, then those links won't work if you then move that stuff into a new cloud storage. So I wouldn't recommend simply changing it for the sake of it. But once you've been through this lecture, you'll understand the benefits of using a different service to Dropbox, and then you can make an informed decision. So a better alternative, I think, for business is using Microsoft or Google. Both of these come with Office apps, email, and also that online collaboration and storage as well. They also have upgradable versions, so you can start off at free and then go to the basic business and then the full-on business use as well. So as your business grows and the functionality you need increases, that app will then increase as you need it. Having all of these in one package means you're only having to learn one specific app. The big difference, in my opinion, between Google and Microsoft, except for the price, Microsoft is more expensive. You have to pay for the Office apps. Google, the Office apps are free. But the biggest difference, regardless of cost, is the ease of administration. Google is far easier to administer. I've got a degree in computing, and yet I used to struggle with Microsoft and actually ended up hiring a Microsoft certified professional to help me manage my team's email accounts and permissions and everything. With Google, it's super easy. I just get one of my virtual assistants from the Philippines to do all the admin for me. They just watch the videos that are provided by Google and they can get on with it without having to spend hours on the help desk as I used to with Microsoft. Google is a far easier solution for small businesses, in my opinion. Maybe if you're an enterprise grade and you've got thousands of employees, then the additional benefits of using Microsoft become more apparent. But for most small businesses, and definitely for myself, and I've had between 0 and 14 employees in our business, Google is by far the easier solution. But again, if you are already using Microsoft, then there's no need to just suddenly change to Google for no reason. And Microsoft is a really good solution, with that one caveat that it's quite difficult to administer. If you are using Microsoft, however, and you're not using SharePoint at the moment, I would seriously consider upgrading to SharePoint. SharePoint comes with Office 365 for Business, and at the time of creating this, the cost of that was about £9.40 per user. But like I explained in the previous lecture, you can have one business license and then use free Outlook emails to then give people access to online storage. So you don't need to pay for a license for every single person who works with you. If you're still using OneDrive, then you can't transfer ownership, and therefore you're putting your business at risk. If you can't take ownership of the files that are created, there's a potential for the person who's created them to delete them either by accident or maliciously, and therefore you could lose really important data. Data, information, that is the value that is in your business. It's the assets that you're creating as you're working. So you need to protect them, and that's what this whole video series is all about. So if you're using Microsoft and you're happy with it, then stick with it. Moving to Google, it's quite a big change, and it's not one to be taken lightly. Keep on going with Microsoft, but just upgrade to SharePoint to get that added security, as I've explained in the previous presentation when I talked about business shared drives. The main alternative to Microsoft is the Google option. Now, Google gives you all the apps for free. You just need to sign up for a free Gmail account. You can use those apps online and offline, and there's never a subscription to pay. That means it's really affordable for when you're getting started, and you don't need to worry about licenses when you're just getting started if you use the ideas that I've presented in these lectures about creating free company Gmail accounts and then transferring ownership of documents between the employee accounts and your own personal Gmail account. I'll explain that in the previous lectures. If you've missed those, go back and watch that. But you can only transfer Google Docs if you're using the free accounts. You can't transfer images and PDFs, so you can own any Google Docs that are created, but not anything else. So great for getting started, but soon you're probably going to want to actually upgrade to be able to take ownership of everything that is created. So that's videos and PDFs and images. The G Suite option starts a lot cheaper than the Microsoft. It's £4.60 per user. You get 30 gigabytes of storage, and it also allows you to transfer any type of file, so PDFs and videos and all the rest of it. However, you all need to have a license, and therefore it gets quite expensive. So if you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 part-time contractors and you want them all to transfer ownership of everything to you, then you need to pay for a license for each of them. Actually, when you're using G Suite and you have everyone with licenses, there's not really the same need to transfer ownership anyway, because you control those accounts. So if those people leave the company, you just switch off their access instantly, change the password from the back end in the admin console, and you can also recover any deleted files. As admin, you have total control of any files created in your G Suite. But as I said, the cost goes up quite significantly as soon as you get a few contractors working for you. The alternative, which I think is a really good solution for most people, is to use G Suite for Business, where you get the shared drives. It's not very well published, the shared drives facility, but it is available and it is brilliant. And what that gives you is that shared drive, which we discussed in the previous presentation, which allows you to have total control over any files put in that. Even if the person who created a file is using a free Gmail account, once they drop the file into the shared drive, it becomes yours. And you can even switch off the ability for that person to delete that file once it's in there. You can also have the ability to just have viewers and editors and all the rest of it. So you can have total control over who can do what. But the big advantage of the shared drives or the SharePoint from Microsoft is that you can have one user license and lots of guest users for free. This keeps the overall cost down, even though the cost of each license is more expensive. And as I mentioned before, the compelling reason, in my opinion, for using Google over Microsoft is that it's just easier to take care of and manage in the back end. In the next presentation, I will talk specifically about what I should recommend that you go for, depending on what you're currently using. I covered it a bit in this presentation already, but I'm going to go through it in a bit more detail in the next presentation. In this presentation, we looked at all those options that are available to you, why iCloud isn't so suitable, why I don't like Dropbox, why Microsoft is right for some people but not everybody, and why I like Google, and the differences between all those, including the costs and the functionality that you get with them. In the next presentation, I will go through our recommended setups depending on what you're currently using, or if you're just getting started, what I recommend you use in your business, which is based on what we use in our business today.